Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam's third canto, chapter number 8, text number 8, isn't it? 8. And yeah, but this verse number 8 has no purport, so I'll just read the Sanskrit and we take the text 9 together. Ja. Jeg sagde Om Namo Bhagavate, det var det ikke? Bare lige for at sikre. Sankhyayana Paramahangsha Mukyo Vivikshamano Bhagavat Vibhuti Jagada Sosmat Guraven Vitaya Parāśara Yata Brihaspatescha. Translation: The great sage Sankhyayana was a chief amongst the transcendentalists, and when he was describing the glories of the Lord in terms of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it so happened that my spiritual master Parāśara and Brihaspati both heard him. So text number 9. Yeah, next text. Next. Provacha. Yeah. Word for word. Provacha. Mayam sa dayalu ukta muni pulasthena puranam adyam saham tava etat katayami vatsa shradalave nityam anuvrataya provatamayam satayalu ukto provatamayam satayalu ukto. Yeah. Muni pulasthena puranam adyam. Muni pulasthena puranam adyam. Soham tavaitat katayami vatsa. Soham tavaitat katayami vatsa. Shradhalave nityam anuvrataya. Shradhalave nityam anuvrataya. Provatamayam satayalu ukto. Muni pulasthena puranam adyam. Soham tavaitat katayami vatsa. Shradhalave nityam anuvrataya. Næste. Sankyayana, the great sage Sankyayana. Sorry. No, sorry. I'm confused. Pravacha said, Mayam unto me, Sa he, Dayalu, kind-hearted, Ukta, aforementioned, Muni, sage, Pulasthena, by the sage Pulastya, Puranam Adyam, the foremost of all the Puranas, Sa'aham, that also I, Tava, unto you, Etat, this, Katayami, shall speak, Vatsa, my dear son, Shraddhalave, unto one who is faithful, Nityam, always, Anurataya, unto one who is a follower. Translation. The great sage Parāśara, as aforementioned, being so advised by the great sage Pulasthya, spoke unto me the foremost of the Puranas, the Bhāgavatam. I shall also ascribe this before you, my dear son, in terms of my hearing, because you are always my faithful follower. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The great sage of the name Pulasthya is a father of all demoniac descendants. Once upon a time, Parāśara began a sacrifice in which all the demons were to be burned to death because his father had been killed and devoured by one of them. The great sage Vasishtha Muni arrived at the sacrifice and requested Parāśara to stop the deadly action. And because of Vasishtha's position and respect in the community of sages, Parāśara could not deny their request. Parāśara, having stopped the sacrifice, Pulasthya, the father of the demons, appreciated his Brahminical temperament and gave the blessing that in the future he would be a great speaker on the Vedic literatures called the Puranas, the supplements of the Vedas. Parāśara's action was appreciated by Pulasthya because Parāśara had forgiven the demons out of his Brahminical power of forgiveness. Parāśara was able to demolish all the demons in the sacrifice, but he considered, demons are so made that they devour living creatures, men and animals, but why on that account should I withdraw my Brahminical qualification of forgiveness? As a great speaker of the Puranas, Parāśara first of all spoke on the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Purana, because it's the foremost of all the Puranas. Maitreya Muni decided to narrate the same Bhāgavatam he had heard from Parāśara, and Vidura was qualified to hear it because of his faithfulness and his following the instructions received from superiors. So Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam was being narrated from time immemorial by the disciplic succession, even before the time of Vyasadeva. The so-called historians calculate the Puranas to be only a few hundred years old, but factually the Puranas existed from time immemorial, before all historical calculations by the mundaners and speculative philosophers. Pravacyamayam satayalu ukto muni pulasjena puranam adyam soham tavaitat katayami vatsa sradhalave nityam anurataya. The great sage Parāśara, as aforementioned, being so advised by the great sage Pulasya, spoke unto me the foremost of the Puranas, Bhāgavatam. I shall also describe this before you, my dear son, in terms of my hearing, because you are always my faithful follower. Om Jnana Tirandasya Jnanandana Salakya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangom Langai Tikrim Yat Kripa Taraham Vande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Namong Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutare Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Swami Namni Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Prachayani Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Pastyachadi Satarine Nam Bancha Kalbatarubhyas Cha Kripa Sindubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaisnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. So first point here is that we are hearing the history of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. As Prabhupada says in the purport, it's not a recent narration, although modern historians, some modern historians, have the idea that the Puranas and the Vedic literature in general are only a few hundred and a few thousand years old. It's something that was introduced by the Western scholars who really could not accept that India had such an ancient tradition and ancient literature, much more ancient and authentic than the West has. And and we know that the scriptures of the West, they have a fairly recent origin. Prabhupada said they are free of the Yavanas. They have free scriptures. Prabhupada writes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Quran. These are the scriptures of the Yavanas. You're right. I mean, I'm saying still. I mean, we don't denigrate them. They have their justification like that. But Prabhupada writes these are still the scriptures of the Yavanas, and they are of fairly recent origin. And so when the Europeans contacted India in the 1600s about that and discovered the treasure of Vedic literature, they were very impressed, and the early ones actually accepted them as much older and as mankind's original knowledge. But then very soon when it came to Europe, this was not accepted in the European world. So they came up with theories, you can call them, various ideas about how India's religion and India's scriptures were much more recent origin. So that's where it goes back to. But anyway, I didn't want to talk about that here now, but it's really, it is without any foundation. When we look at it, it doesn't make any sense. So Prabhupada hints to that. And that's, as I said, it's a topic for a lot of huge lectures, which I'm not going to give now. But the actual fact is that Bhagavatam is not only 5,000 years old. It was written down by Vyasadeva 5,000 years ago. It was spoken by Shukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Pariksit 5,000 years ago. It was spoken to Shukadeva by Vyasadeva when he was still within the womb of his mother, about 5,000 years ago, like that. But that doesn't mean that this is the Bhagavatam at that time was authored or like that by Vyasadeva. we hear here now, it goes all the way back. It was originally spoken by Lord Sankarshan to the Kumaras, and that's in the beginning of the creation. The Kumaras are the first created being first ones created by Lord Brahma are the Kumaras. So they are they're the first beings in this universe. So it's a very beginning of the creation of the universe. So then Lord Sankarshan, he spoke to the Kumaras, or especially says Sanat Kumara, but they're always together. The four Kumaras are always together. And then Sanat Kumara, he spoke to Shankyayana Rishi, whom I don't know if we have any more information about him, except that he's mentioned here. I don't know if his name appears in other contexts or like that. I haven't seen it in other contexts. I cannot remember I've seen it in other contexts, but he said he was the best among all the transcendentalists. So that's another thing. There's so many, through the history, we talk about billions of years. Obviously, there's so many names and so many great personalities, and we cannot know them all. And many of them there, even though at that time, there was probably no one who could compare to Sankyayana Rishi. Now he's kind of forgotten. And that's how history is, how history goes. Everything will be forgotten in due course of time in this material world. And then Sankyayana Rishi, he spoke to Parāśara, Muni, and Brihaspati at the same time. So now, of course, Parāśara is famous. Brihaspati is also still known and very famous. Brihaspati is a priest of the demigods, Indra's priest on the heavenly planets, and a very great sage, obviously. And Parāśara is a similar great sage. He is the father of Srila Vyasadeva. So this is much more recent, but of course he's also ancient because his lifetime is, I don't know how long. Parāśara is, I guess he's still living, he's still present. Vyasadeva is still present. Vyasadeva didn't leave his body. Vyasadeva is living in the Himalayas, in a what is the place called? Is it Badarikasram? Vyasadeva is living there, transcendent. Yeah. He went there and met him. Yeah. So if those who are qualified have the ability, they can go and speak with Vyasadeva. But he's not for any tourist or any travel agency or tourist bus can bring you to see Vyasadeva. He's only those who are qualified. He's not interested in just everyone coming and taking a picture of him and making a selfie up with him and like that. That's they're beyond that. That's below them. And many, like yesterday, Anton talked about all the many yogis and mystics and so on who live in the Himalayas and so on. Why don't they come here amidst us and then show all their mystic powers and show it's real? But it's not. They don't want to get involved with that. It's why they're not into real great souls. They're not into showing off what they can and like that. And they want to naturally they exist for the benefit to benefit others. But if you cannot benefit them, then they have nothing. There's no interest. So Parāśara, he's a spiritual master of. He's the father of Vyasadeva, and I believe he was a Vyasadeva in a previous age, in the previous Manvantara, or in a previous Yuga, Chatu Yuga. I think I believe it cannot be Manvantara, but I think he was also the Vyasadeva in the previous Chatu. Of course, there are how many other 71 Chatu Yugas, cycles of Satya, Treta, Dvapara, Kali in each Manvantara. There are 1,000 in the whole Deya Brahma, and there are 71 in the, so calculated in each period of Manu, Manvantara. So I think it's mentioned somewhere that he was, Parāśara was actually had the task of Vyasadeva in the previous Kali Yuga, and now his son is and of course it's a famous pastime how Vyasadeva was begotten by Parāśara, by Parāśara uniting with Satyavati, a fisherman's daughter. She was a fisherman's daughter, and she had her job or service was to ferry passengers across the Saraswati. Was that the Saraswati River? Someone remembers? No. Saraswati River is not there anymore, but that was the big, great Saraswati River was flowing. So she was at least ferrying passengers across the river, very big river. So, which is naturally a fisherman's woman. She's also used to dealing with boats, so she could ferry them across. So Parāśara, he was also, got on board her boat, and then, but then in the middle of the river, Parāśara understood that she's a fisherman's daughter, but she's very special. She's not an ordinary, and actually she's meant to be the mother of my son, or my next, and the next Vyasadeva. So by his mystic potency, he created a huge fog around, so the boat and everything was covered. And then he conceived Vyasadeva with Satyavati, and she gave birth to Vyasadeva on an island in the middle of the river, which I believe have been Saraswati. And therefore, when Vyasadeva was born, he's also known as Dvaipayana, which means one who is born on an island. That's his particular name, Dvaipayana Vyasadeva. So anyway, it's a famous pastime, and of course, although it might seem like an illicit relationship, but it's not. These sages, they're completely above that. Parāśara understood this is the Lord's desire, and afterwards he benedicted Satyavati. I think did she retain her virginhood? But at least after he also gave her the blessing that she would smell very nicely. Because that was one thing, she was extremely beautiful and qualified, but she was a fisherman's daughter, so actually the smell was not very nice. But then Vyasadeva, Parāśara, blessed her, and then after that she became, what is her name then? Also Ganda something. That she has a beautiful smell for miles around. So anyway, but the thing, of course, this is how Vyasadeva was born. So Parāśara is an extremely great sage, very, very important. And he is there. Many of his instructions are in the Puranas. I believe in the Vishnu Purana, a lot of the instruction is. I have not read the Vishnu Purana. Can some of you confirm this? There's a lot of instruction by Parāśara Muni in relationship to Varnashram. I think this verse, Varnashrama Rachara Purusena Parapuman, is spoken by Parāśara. And that's a quote from the Vishnu Purana. Prabhupada quotes that verse very often. So we see here one of one thing that was so great about Parāśara was his ability to forgive. We hear here in this verse that his father was killed and devoured by one demon. So then his immediate reaction is he had to take revenge, and we had to get rid of all these demons in this world. So he made a big sacrifice and started, was about to perform it, and all the demons were to be killed. But Agastya Muni, we hear that he's one of the original sons of Lord Brahma, and he came. I mean, he's very influential. He's he appears also in the Bhāgavatam and many other places. Agastya Muni is always there. Ancient sage, and with I guess his lifespan is a lifespan of Lord Brahma. Is that correct? Gorohan, do you know? Is he? Does Agastya have the same lifespan as Lord Brahma? He is a son of Lord Brahma. Agastya? No. But he's, has an incredible lifespan. So he requested Parāśara, stop this sacrifice. It's not meant to. I mean, one can say, of course, why should we have any demoniac living entities? And let's get rid of the demons. Let's just completely, annihilate them all. But that's not the material world. Is, there has to be a place for everyone. I mean, there are those who have a demonic mentality. They also have to have a place to be. That is, Krishna is not envious, and he gives them. So they have a place here in this material world, where they can, harass each other and harass everyone, and they we would like to not have them here, but then we should have, before we decided to come to material world, we should have thought of that. We came here. It's our own choice. We came here. If we don't like demonic living beings, then we shouldn't have chosen to come here in the first place.
In some way they help us to advance?
Everything is a part of Krishna's plan. So they make the material world intolerable. That's one thing. So you want to let's get out of this place as soon as possible. And if one is a little sober, one sees this is not the qualities to exhibit, and one will say, I'm certainly not going to be like that. So Parāśara was in the process of devastating all the demons, but Agastya came and told him, no, please stop. It's not meant to be like that. And then Parāśara said, okay, yes, no problem. And he forgave them. And actually became very sober, and he thought that yes, it's true. Demoniac living beings, their nature is to kill and devour other living beings. But what has that got to do with me? Why should I give up my quality of forgiveness? There's no connection. So that's how he thought. And that shows how great he is. And this is a symptom of greatness of very great souls. Brahmanas are known for their ability to forgive. Vaishnavas are known for their ability to forgive. Krishna is very forgiving. That is greatness is shown by, or that's one of the symptoms of a very great person. Just like we hear there are so many examples of great souls. Here in the West, the famous example is Christ, who, when he was being crucified, he was praying to the Lord, please forgive them. They do not know what they are doing. First time you hear that, what is striking, what a quality they are. They have tortured him and humiliated him, and they're killing him right now. And he just said, forgive them. They don't know what they are doing. Would we be like that? That we're supposed to. We're supposed to be very forgiving. And similarly, we have Haridāsa Ṭhākura showed extreme forgiveness. Haridāsa Ṭhākura was our Namacharya and most intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya, but he was actually tortured and beaten up in 22 marketplaces. He was sentenced by a very envious Nawab or Kasi. Was it the Nawab? Was it the Nawab who was envious of Haridāsa Ṭhākura? Was it the Kasi? Kasi, yeah, the Kasi, yeah. Muslim ruler was very envious of Haridāsa Ṭhākura, because Haridāsa Ṭhākura was born in a Muslim family, but from very childhood he was attracted to Lord Krishna's holy name and just chanted Lord Krishna's holy name. So he didn't follow the Muslim religion, and this Kasi, he became very angry at him, and also very disturbed that he was so popular. Haridāsa Ṭhākura became a very popular devotee, very admired for his saintly qualities. So the Kasi, after first demanding from Haridāsa Ṭhākura that he gave up being a Hindu and become a Muslim, and Haridāsa Ṭhākura said, but he said, even if I wanted to, I could not give up chanting the holy name. It's simply, I'm not able to give up chanting the holy name. And what's the problem anyway? There are many Hindus who become Muslims. So if some Muslims become Hindus, what is a big, what's the difference? Why be upset by that? But the Kasi, he was he didn't give up his hate and envy. So he ordered his constables beat this Haridāsa Ṭhākura, drag him from marketplace to marketplace, and beat him until he leaves his body. That was a system you had in marketplaces, and all the merchants, sellers at the marketplace, they would stand up in two lines with sticks, and then the culprit would be pulled by constables through these lines, and as soon as the person was outside in front of a merchant, he would hit him, and then the next would hit him, and then he would be hit by the horrible. So, and generally nobody survives more than 2 or 3 marketplaces like that. But Haridāsa Ṭhākura, he was pulled through 22 marketplaces, and he was being beaten, and at the same time he was smiling. He wasn't, and he was he was not angry, he was not afraid, there was no fear, he was not, and he was unaffected, and he was praying at the same time, my dear Lord, please don't give any reaction to these innocent persons. Again, the same, they don't know what they're doing. They are just themselves puppets in the hand of some, of some higher ruler. These constables, don't punish them. You forgive them. And actually, later on, Lalitanatha said, I was about there to appear to kill them, but because you were praying so much that I couldn't come and kill them as I wanted. Of course, Lalitanatha said, but he did one thing. I took the beatings on my body because I couldn't tolerate that you should have suffered all this beating. And then Lalitanatha, that time, he actually showed his back, and he had marks from the beatings of Haridāsa Ṭhākura. So finally, after 22 marketplaces, the constables, they were getting exhausted. And they were just, just telling Haridāsa Ṭhākura, why don't you die? And Haridāsa Ṭhākura said, but, do you want me to die? And they said, yes, because if you don't die, then the Kasi, he will kill us. And then Haridāsa Ṭhākura said, okay, if you want me to die, I'll die. And boom. Then he just seemingly left his body, and his body was completely lifeless. So then they were happy, or whatever they were, and then they took him. But they discussed amongst themselves. They concluded that he's such an infidel. He's a traitor of our Muslim faith. So he cannot get a honorable, respectable human Muslim funeral. Just throw him in the river. Throw his dead body in the river. Don't give him an honorable burial. And so they threw Haridāsa Ṭhākura into the river, and then he was just floating down. He was just in complete trance. Then they woke up from his trance at one point, and then he swam into the river, into the bank, and then he came up and he was back chanting. And that, of course, became known that they had thrown out, and that he had survived this, and and he became even more famous because of that. And but again, Prabhupada gives him an example of someone who was forgiving. Lord Nityananda is another example. He forgave completely Jagai and Madai. Lord Chaitanya was ready to kill Jagai and Madai, but Nityananda said, "No, don't kill them. Give them your mercy." And that's another long pastime, which we don't have time to narrate there. But Lord Nityananda was also so forgiving. Prabhupada said that there's no end to the forgiveness of Lord Nityananda. Anyone can come and ask forgiveness from him, and he'll forgive. And then if one comes again, and well, I'm sorry, I'm such a sinful person, I couldn't keep my promise to you. And then Lord Nityananda again, he'll forgive. He'll forgive. He's so forgiving. Of course, we should not take advantage of that. We shouldn't take advantage of that, but he bears, great persons don't bear grudges, they're not angry, they're not hateful, and they're not revengeful, they're forgiving. And that quality is especially found in the Brahmanas and upwards, Brahmanas, Vaishnavas, and so on. They're very forgiving. They see everyone like, they're ignorant, like a parent sees a child. Parent is not, even sometimes the child will tell them, say, "Father, I hate you," or something like that, or even try to hit the father or something like that. But father, it's just a child. So learned person, they see other persons in the same way. They're simply ignorant. They don't know what they're doing, and they see that they have knowledge also. And knowledge also means they have the ability to, of course, it's a modern word, empathy. Empathy means you're actually able to put yourself in the situation of someone else. As I think the Danish expression, you're able to put yourself in their shoes. And then often also, if you actually have empathy and you put yourself in the situation of others, you discover, would I do differently? And often you discover that, well, I would do the same. So how can I condemn that when it's just completely understandable, normal that in such a situation this is how they're acting? I would act the same in their situation. Or even if it's sometimes they act out of envy and rascaldom, as Prabhupada would say, but still a knowledgeable person is forgiving. He doesn't bear any grudge or any hate. And that's, of course, what makes him a great person. That's one quality that makes him a great person. That's one person that makes him a liberated person, because ability to forgive is actually the you can say the technique to overcome anger. How does one overcome anger? Anger is the deepest anatta that we have. There's karma, krodha, and lobha, 3 gateways to hell. So it is described how, lust one can control and somewhat overcome, but anger is a deeper quality. Like Lord Shiva is, he's in complete control of his lust and so on. But anger is, even that he can become angry. Muni demonstrated that when he was testing Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu, that he offended Lord Shiva verbally. And then Shiva became angry. And then Muni said, so he's not the supreme. Then, of course, afterwards he went and he tested Vishnu. And he committed the worst of the offenses. He went up and he kicked Vishnu. First he committed a mental offense to Lord Brahma. He didn't bow down when he saw him. then he was verbally abusive to Lord Shiva, telling him that don't touch me, you dirty. when Lord Shiva came to embrace him because they're brothers, so then he offended him by words, and Shiva became angry. But of all the offenses, the worst is to simply go up and physically offend them, hit them, with a fist, or kick them. It's even worse. So, but Vishnu, he was not at all disturbed. He was actually apologetic. He said, "Oh, Bhrigu, Muni, I'm sorry. I hope you didn't hurt your foot. My chest is very hard. Come, let me massage your foot. Please sit down. How can we take care of you? How can we serve you?" And then Bhrigu understood. Well, that he's a supreme. There's no anger in him, and that means they're connected. He's 100% forgiving. And so, but the point was that anger is an even more difficult pushing to control than lust and greed. Anger is so deep, and so we all have the challenge: how do we overcome anger? How to deal with anger? And the advice in the Bhagavatam is learn to forgive. One must be forgiving. So then that's how to overcome anger. That's it's all there. All instructions given how we overcome all the different anarthas and qualities that we are struggling with. So to overcome anger, one should learn how to forgive. And it's important. If we don't forgive, then we're carrying anger with us, and that anger is like a slow burning fire within that just burns and burns and eats us up from within. It is mainly for ourselves we are damaging and hurting by being angry. So just for our own sake, we have to learn how to forgive and not carry grudges toward anyone. But actually be thankful to everyone. And act for everyone's welfare. Sometimes we see that seemingly great souls, they also angry. Now the Muni cursed Manigriva and Nalakuvara. He was angry to see them, fooling around naked, intoxicated like that. So he cursed them. But that curse it wasn't out of anger. It was actually out of complete compassion. So this is the best for them. Let them become trees, and then let them have this ultimate benediction. They will see Krishna. Krishna will deliver them. They would never have, even if they had just been normal, proper behaving, decent demigods, they would never have had a chance to see Krishna and be delivered by Krishna. So Narada Muni, his seeming anger was actually the greatest benediction. So it's sometimes like that. And sometimes one has positions like Kshatriyas, they maybe internally they may not hate anyone or be forgiving, but they have to be strict, and they have to punish the wrongdoers, punish the criminals like that. And parents have to be strict with their children, and sometimes punish their children and so on. So forgiveness is an internal thing. One might, externally act seemingly strict or harsh or angry with someone, but it should never be done. Internally, one shouldn't be angry. One should always be forgiving. So that is a wonderful example we see here. Are there any questions or anything on this? No? Yeah?
Thank you very much for a wonderful explanation of forgiveness. But as you told also, we have to be forgiven in terms of ours, that if somebody is offending or telling something bad to us.
Yeah.
Maybe also explain in the term of Krishna, like Narada Muni calls Nalakuvara and Manigriva.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
But in case of, let us say, somebody is offending your guru, or let us say saying something bad about Krishna, in that case, how one should act?
Yeah, then one is not forgiving. Then one becomes angry like fire. One should not tolerate that. And there are some very nice examples of that. Bhagavatam has the example of Ambarish and Durvasa Muni. And Ambarish, Durvasa Muni is narrated in the 9th canto of the Bhagavatam. And Durvasa Muni offended Ambarish Maharaj and was fleeing away from the Sudarshan Chakra, and even went to Vishnu, and he asked Vishnu, "Save me, forgive me for what I've done." And Vishnu told him, "That's not in my ability. But the devotees are in my heart, I'm in the heart of the devotees. They are more dear to me than my own self, my devotees. I have no ability to forgive you for offending my devotee. The only chance for you is to go back to the devotee and you ask forgiveness from him. Then Sudarshan Sudarshan may stop from chasing you." So he had to go down. And then Ambarish Maharaj, he showed perfect forgiveness. There was no anger. Actually, he was also apologetic. Sorry, that you had to, for 1 year, you had to be chased by the Sudarshan Chakra. And he was praying to the Lord that, if I've ever done anything, anything auspicious, pious, and all the, whatever, if I have earned any credits for my pious activities, please let the benediction for that go to save this Durvasa Muni. So that's one example. That, no, Vishnu couldn't forgive him. He had to go to Ambarish Maharaj. Another example is in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So actually, there are several examples of Lord Chaitanya not forgiving. Jagan, that's one thing, but now I'm thinking of Gopal Chapal. That's another example. Gopal Chapal was an envious Brahmana, which means he cannot be very much of a high-class Brahmana if he's envious. But he was, and since he was not, a pure person, he was not allowed to be part of the kirtan within Srivas Ṭhākura's house. It was closed. It was only for selected pure devotees who were allowed there. So he was not allowed. He wasn't allowed to come. So he became angry, and then he said, "I'm going to show everyone. I'm going to defame Srivas Ṭhākura." So he took all the paraphernalia for worshipping goddess Chanti and placed it outside the door of Srivas Ṭhākura, and then a pot of wine, was there. So then in the morning, when Srivas Ṭhākura, he opened it, he saw all this paraphernalia for worshipping Chanti or Durga. Chanti is Durga. But Srivas Ṭhākura didn't become disturbed. Instead, he called all the neighbors and said, "Now, come see here. Actually, now you can see my real character. I'm worshipping goddess Chanti secretly. Now it's no secret anymore. You can see." And of course, everyone said, "What is this? Who has done that?" And everyone understood this is not Srivas Ṭhākura. Someone is trying to defame him. So, and Gopal Chapal, as a result of that, he got leprosy. 3 days after he came down with leprosy, he had to go in isolation, sit by, and when Lord Chaitanya, he walked by and he saw Gopal Chapal. Then Gopal Chapal, he called to him and said, "Oh, my Lord," he knew who Lord Chaitanya was actually. He said, "You're the Supreme Lord. You're delivering all the fallen souls. You also please deliver me." And Lord Chaitanya said, "Never. I will have you bitten by these worms and have leprosy for millions of lifetimes. I don't care. You offended my devotee. You deserve it." Many years later, then Lord Chaitanya came back and he advised Gopal Chapal to ask forgiveness from Srivas Ṭhākura. And he went, and then Srivas Ṭhākura forgave him, and then he got Lord Chaitanya's mercy.
So is it about anger itself or our attachment?
You use anger sometimes as a tool. Anger. I mean, is it a question if we attach to the anger, or can we? I mean, because I said Prabhupada sometimes was very angry, and it was real. Prabhupada was really angry, but it was also seen that generally Prabhupada would be very angry, and then the next moment he could be completely peaceful again. So the anger was real. It was, and anger is a very powerful emotion when you can use it for correcting a situation or correcting someone's mentality. But when there's no use for it, then the Prabhupada was completely peaceful. Great persons always act for the welfare of others, and sometimes they use anger to correct others, but they're not. Immediately as soon as they finish using it, they're not angry anymore. It's not there. It's not burning within. It's not like you're just angry. Have you tried that? Being angry. Someone offended you or something like that, and you just for days and days you have conversation where you're yelling at the person, and you're in your mind you see how you are piercing that person with killing him and whatever, kicking him, and I don't know. I've tried that a couple of times. You haven't?
It's hard to be angry for a long time. It's very tiring.
It's actually it's like frying yourself. You're burning yourself on a fire. Yeah. So you can use the energy if it is in use, but otherwise forgive. Once you learn to forgive, they don't know what they're doing. Yeah.
It's like in relation to this anger.
Oh.
Prabhupada gives this example of Hanumanji.
Yeah.
He became angry and then he burned whole Lanka. So like same principle. If somebody is offending, let us say Krishna.
Jan, kan vi ikke lige få noget ro? Undskyld.
We have to use our anger.
Yeah.
Like Arjuna used also. But in service of Krishna and Bhagavad.
Yeah. And anger, one should not be artificially non-angry if one has to be angry on behalf of Krishna or Guru or Prabhupada or protecting devotees and like that. Then to not be angry would be wrong. Arjuna, actually that's what the Bhagavad Gita is about, that Krishna was inciting Arjuna to become angry and fight. You cannot fight if you're not angry. So Arjuna, he wanted to be forgiving in the wrong situation.
Forgiveness is not.
No, that's weakness. He said that's weakness of heart.
That's what unfortunately Mahatma Gandhi preached in India, and that's.
Yeah, I mean that's not practical. This Gandhi's non-violence has no. I mean, it was practical. It was a good tactic to get the sympathy of the world and get by saying we non-violent and these British they're suppressing us. So it was. I mean, we cannot say that Gandhi was not. He was smart and he. Yeah.
India could be before free.
Yeah.
If Subhash Chandra Bose was like there.
Yeah.
It would be like free hundreds years before. But because of Mahatma Gandhi, this everything happened. And after that effect also onto Hindus. Non-violence, very different non-violence.
Yeah, no. So it wasn't. It didn't. But he was a politician. So in politics, you can use anything, whether it's a true principle or not. He can even propagate non-violence in politics as a weapon. He used it as a weapon, non-violence, and it was effective. I mean, he got so much sympathy. Gandhi, he got so much sympathy from the whole world. God has sympathy.
What is the use of getting the whole sympathy from the whole world if you don't get sympathy from Krishna?
Yeah, no. But I'm just talking on the relative level now. It's not a principle. Non-violence is not a principle, but it can be a tactic. Prabhupada says it can be a tactic in politics. So it was a tactic. That's it. No. Yeah. No, I know that, and we know that he was a politician, dressed as a saint. That's all. Hare Krishna. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki. Śrīla Prabhupada ki.